Hello and welcome. I'm Aman Mazingo, and this is the Afro Tales podcast, a show that will explore the folklore, tales, myths, and legends of the African diaspora. Today, we go back to Jamaica. We go back to exploring Jack Mandora Tales, which means we are back to exploring Anansi. So sit back, relax, and enjoy this tale about Dr. Anansi. Dr. Anansi. Early one morning, there was a loud knock on the door. It was followed by other loud knocks. Although no one answered, the person wouldn't give up. Eventually, Brother Anansi dragged himself out of bed to see who was beating down his door at this ungodly hour. The door opened to reveal Brother Goat standing there looking sad and dejected. Brother Goat, Brother Anansi greeted him. "What are you doing here so early?" Boy, Brother Anansi," Brother Goat responded. "They say water more than flour. I wish it was good news, but it's not so good." "So what is it, Brother Goat?" "Brother Anansi, I need your help and your advice. I have a serious problem that only you can help me with." He went on to explain to Brother Anansi how his uncle, who lived in Goat Hill, had taken ill and died. The family believed that someone had worked Obey on him. None of the Obey men they consulted, however, was able to help them. The latest one seemed to know what he was doing, but Brother Goat had a distinct impression that he was a con artist. Knowing that Brother Anansi was the only friend he had and really trusted to give him good advice in such a situation, he wanted to know what he thought of the matter. Brother Anansi listened intently for a while, then he cleared his throat. He shook his head slowly and sighed, then gave Brother Goat a piercing look. "So you tell me, Brother Goat, did the Obey men tell them to rub curry all over your uncle's dead body?" "No," Brother Goat replied. He went on to explain that an earlier Obey man had instructed them to do so, but they had become suspicious when he requested to be left alone with the body. This last one seemed too clever to make the same mistake. Brother Anansi nodded his head and after a while said, Well, we will have to make some careful plans. We cannot let anyone know, not even our wives." Brother Anansi packed his bag and left with Brother Goat the same morning, telling his wife he was going to grunge. When she inquired further, he merely said that he had a piece of hafu yam that was spoiling the field. He added he might not be back that night, but if anyone should ask for him, they should be told that he was ill in bed with a slight touch of TB. The same night, a wake was being held at Goat Hill for Brother Goat's uncle. Although the rest of the family were all busy making preparations, he was absent the entire day and only returned at nightfall carrying a large bag on his back. He did not say anything to anyone, merely nodded a greeting, and gave nearly a stern look when his wife asked what was inside the bag. He tiptoed back to the back of the house and headed for the fields. There he laid down his burden and opened the bag. Out crawled Brother Anansi. "Did anyone see you?" he inquired of Brother Goat. "No," Brother Goat replied. He returned to the house shortly after, acting carefree as if nothing had happened. He even got drunk and behaved so disorderly that his uncle's wife and the rest of the family were openly embarrassed. Through it all, Bruh Goat was carefully scrutinizing the faces of all the guests and observing very keenly to see if anyone was behaving strangely. As daylight approached, the guests were leaving. A little man approached the gate and stood there looking, not saying a single word. But after the last guest had departed, one of his cousins approached him and inquired if anyone inside could assist him. He replied that someone had sent for him, and they had directed him to this address. When asked his name, he told them that he was known as the Honorable Dr. Lequau from Bohemia. He had come to see a longtime patient and former classmate, the one who had sent for him by the name of Aloysius Goat. That was the name of Bruh Goat's uncle who had died. No one in the family knew this Dr. Lequau, but because of his manner and his attire, everyone deferred to him and treated him with utmost respect. He was invited inside, offered a chair and a drink, and told to eat whatever he liked. Apart from giving them his coat and taking the chair, however, he touched nothing. Eventually, the grieving widow came and told him that her husband had passed away. He requested to see the corpse if it was not too much of a bother. He was ushered into the death chamber without much hesitation. Once inside, he took out a stethoscope and examined the body thoroughly. He was so thorough that the family, who were peeping from another room, became greatly impressed with him. When he was through, he grunted to himself, but said nothing. They tried to question him, but he merely put his finger to his lips and indicated that he would tell them later. Then went outside, asked for something to dig with, was given a hoe, and commenced digging into the ground at the entrance of the house. He then went to the back door and dug some more. He did some more digging at various locations around the yard. He then went and sat down quietly. Not long afterwards, a short, stocky man with a very boastful walk strutted into the yard. He was immediately greeted by one of the aunts who ushered him inside, then eventually emerged amidst a great deal of whispering and nodding. The aunt gave the man a cutlass, with which he commenced digging in front of the doorway. He dug for a while, then he dug some more. He began to perspire. He removed his jacket and stood there pondering and poking with the cutlass into the ground. Suddenly, the honorable doctor got up from his seat and approached the newcomer. "My friend," he greeted him, "you seem to need some help." The stranger shook his head, then he straightened himself and gave the honorable doctor a very stern look. Unperturbed, the little doctor took a small red pebble from his pocket and inquired, "Is this what you are looking for?" The man merely grunted and walked away, with the women following close behind. He went to the back door and repeated the same ritual of digging, followed by silent frustration. The little doctor joined them. This time he took from his pocket a bottle of green liquid and things like plants growing in it. The stranger was now openly hostile toward him. Still, the ritual continued, with the stranger moving around the yard, digging, and then the honorable doctor approaching him, taking something from his pocket and asking if this was the object of his quest. The man eventually flew into a rage and departed, cursing loudly. Everyone was surprised except for the little doctor who laughed loudly and explained to them that the other man was an Obey man, had come there the night before and buried the objects in the yard. By digging them up, he would have convinced the family that someone was working Obey against them. The family was so grateful to the honorable doctor, who in turned out was Brother Anansi. After the funeral, he was loaded with many gifts as he departed for his village. The end. Okay, so that was fun, right? So I had to kind of look up what Obey was, what the Obey people do and everything, because that is something that I had never heard of. And apparently it is a religion, or not really a religion, a spiritual system of spiritual healing that comes from West Africans and the West Indies. So really makes perfect sense for this. I love the first few doctors, I guess, or the first doctor who said spread curry over his body, because we all know we love curry goat. I love the few times I've had curry goat, I loved it. And I love Jamaican food, so I could only imagine that Obey man was like, oh yes, dinner is served. But it was a good story. You can't trick the trickster, you know. So that was a good thing to know. But I think the most important part of this story is the fact that you can't believe everybody that comes your way and say that they're trying to help you. We all have been there, and we all have experienced that person who has come as a false helper, let's say, come as a person that, you know, offers a shoulder to cry on, offers a helping hand, all to get something away from you, all to con you out of something else, whether it be financially or spiritually or through your time. You know, things are precious, you know, and you don't want to waste that on somebody who is not really who they say they are, or not really there to help you like they say they are. So watch out for those people in your life. You know, it doesn't necessarily have to be dealing with death of a family member or a friend or anything like that. Just watch out for those kind of people that act like they're there to help you and really aren't. You know, don't be Bruh Goat in this situation. Don't be Bruh Goat's family in this situation. You know, be a Nancy in this situation, and really look at somebody. Not, you don't have to mistrust everybody, but really pay attention to what people say to you, how they are, and how they act, and hopefully, you know, you don't run into that bad Obey man. Now, I'm pretty sure Obey people, people of the Obey practice are not bad. These are just ones, you know, trying to look at a way to get some goat meat, I guess. And the last one trying to con the family. But I'm pretty sure that the people from that spiritual path are not bad people. I don't know any. If you are Obey out there, I wouldn't mind. You can email me, leave a comment on the Facebook, on the Apple podcast, and let me know, and we can contact and we can talk about some of the stuff. And I would love to converse with you about it. But until next time, thank you. Thank you for your time. You can find us on Anchor, Spotify, Google Podcasts, or iTunes, or wherever you may listen to podcasts. You may also find us on Instagram and Facebook at Afro Tales Podcast, all one word, or on Twitter at Afro Tales Cast. Please share, comment, like, leave a rating so others may find us just as you have. Again, I'm Amon Mazingo. This is Afro Tales Podcast, and until next time, have a great day.